So what we're looking at now is a picture of the carcass in all of its 1970s photographic glory by the Japanese photographer. What appears to be, at first glance, or what a lot of people believe, the carcass of a plesiosaur. A plesiosaur, an ancient creature that inhabited the earth. I believe it was 66 million years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check on that. Right? Hold on one second. If you want to switch to the next one, demand too. Let me look at
Oh, buddy boy, I'm already ahead of you.
Well, you are ahead of me, dude. Yeah, evidently, plesiosaurs went extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, approximately just a mere 66 million years ago. Evidently, this was during a mass extinction event, Kiwi, also known for wiping out the non avian dinosaurs, or the majority of them, and is believed, ironically, to be caused by a massive impact of what?
A big, spicy space rock.
A big, gigantic, spicy space rock for the lovers of our last podcast. That is correct, Kiwi. Along with other environmental changes, it was this particular dinosaur went extinct during that time. However, the Zio Maru fishing vessel seems, at least first glance, to have unearthed, or should I say, drawn in a carcass of this particular creature. And you're looking at it live if you're watching this on Twitch. But, I mean, there's some issues with it. Yeah, thank you, Demand, right? What are we looking at here, actually? What do you think you're looking at, Demand? Kiwi, you're watching it right now. You're looking at a fish. Yes, probably.
Big fish.
But,
why does it have wings? Hold on. Let's go back to the first one real quick. Hold on. Analyze. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger
Analyze
than the webcams real quick. But why does it feel like it has wings?
Zuyo Maru. Is that right, Suji? Thank you. Zuyo Maru. British. There's no reason for the rolling R's, the man. This is not in the... What are you looking at right here, Dement? Is good. What are you looking at here? What are we staring at?
Real quick, I'm looking at the bottom left picture. Like, doesn't it look
explain.
like it's like an exoskeleton of like a bird type thing going on right there?
It looks like an alien. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm a normal guy. I'm not a zoologist. I'm not a cryptozoologist. I'm not a marine biologist. I'm just a dude who enjoys drinking wine and eating rock sandwiches with my boy Demand. And let me tell you something. This thing looks alien. If I have ever seen an alien, this thing doesn't belong in reality. So that's my personal opinion.
What is the second one we're looking at right here?
So this is sort of a diagram, and moving forward. Kiwi, did you want to say anything on this before we get to the logical explanations?
No, carry on.
Yeah. So the popular theory, Demand, is that this is actually the remains of a decomposing basking shark. Albeit, this would be among a record size and weight for the species. The samples that the Japanese sailors took.
You are now a follower of the amazing Doc and Demand Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cookie Pie 2020, thank you for joining the Dr. Man Show cast, baby. Welcome to Campfire Stories. The amino acids found in the sample. So hold on, I think I got ahead of myself. So this thing was fished by Japanese fishermen off the
Okay.
coast of New Zealand. Why the hell were they so far south, by the way? Isn't this really far away from Japan? Like really, really, really far
Or a
away.
fishing boat?
But
Probably.
for a
It
fishing boat?
is, but that still happens even now.
Really?
Yes.
So Japanese fishermen just roll in New Zealand and they're like, "Whoa!" All right, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, they do the JoJo thing and they fish out y'all's plesiosaurs and basking sharks and
No one
stuff,
touches
dude.
my plesiosaurus.
So, okay. So this Japanese fishermen are off the coast of New Zealand or close to it. They fish this whatever this carcass is, right? And so they drag it aboard and they realize immediately, what the hell am I looking at, right? Like, so they take a bunch of pictures, they take a bunch of samples, like rotting flesh samples from whatever this thing is. This is a real picture, ladies and gentlemen. This is not AI. There are some that are out there. This is 100% real. There's multiple angles. Demand showed you another one already. They didn't know what it was. So, not to spoil the rest of their fishing spoils that they got, right? Not to just destroy it. They yeeted the rotting carcass back into the ocean after they were done taking samples. So,
That's where COVID came from?
dude, if you're gonna get ancient COVID, like this has got to be where it's from.
That's COVID-1.
So-
That's the OG.
So they found. So I know y'all are waiting with bated breath. So what did the test find? Right, the flesh samples did get analyzed, and they were recorded. Evidently, the scientists did find some type of amino acids in the fibers of the flesh samples taken from this carcass that matched or that are only found in sharks. It's a protein called elastidin.
Okay.
Sounds like it's made up, but evidently elastidin is only found in sharks and evidently is very, very prominent in basking sharks.
Okay.
So, that's the death blow to the mystery, correct, man? Case closed. We're going to tap dance on out here to the next one.
I have a problem with this.
I like that.
Hold on. Before we go
I
into
like-
the problem, Kiwi, what nation did research and studies on this? Was it the Japanese nation or was it the United States nation?
I
have-
believe it was Japan, and I think the Swedish actually looked at it as well.
Okay.
So these were a conglomerate of scientists.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
I'm just
And
checking.
I'm glad Kiwi has a problem with
Now-
this because
my problem, just first off, real quick, is have we ever had samples of the plesiosaur to compare this to? Can we say without a doubt that that is only found in the basking shark?
I'm just going to be honest with you. The answer is 100% no. We have not had samples, obviously, of a plesiosaur, whatever the hell the thing is named. You're absolutely 100% correct, and that's the problem with this. If you go on YouTube, if you go on Reddit, they're instantly ready to dismiss whatever this thing is as instantly like a basking shark because of Occam's razor, right? Like Occam's razor basically states philosophically, for those of you who don't know, that the simplest solution is often the correct one. And there's some usefulness to that. However, in my opinion, Occam's razor has no place in science. Science does not operate or should not operate in the most likely solution. Science should only operate in absolutely provable, repeatable, and experimental fact,
Not our science, Doc.
right? I know. That's the problem with this. And this is the same thing that I have a problem with the crop circles like question, right? Like we had in, a couple of campfires ago where we talked about like crop circles. Are the majority of them or a good portion of them arguably made by man? Absolutely. However, there's some that call into question science and of the ability of man. And you cannot lump those things in. And honestly, I'm going to throw shade on science right now. I know Suji can back me up slightly. I don't know if she will in chat. I know that Kiwi can back me up. Oftentimes, the accepted explanations for things have not, without a shadow of a doubt, been scientifically proven, right? And they are stated and touted as if indeed this is the truth without a shadow of a doubt. And the problem is that creates a narrative because science should always be willing to accept the fact that they're hideously mistaken. Always, right? And they should never shy away from debate. They should never shy away from perhaps they are wrong. Like that's the essence that I've been taught of what science actually is. Am I wrong for thinking that?
No,
Demand or Kiwi?
that's the whole idea of the theory, right? A theory can never be proven 100% right.
Right.
When it's proven 100% right, it becomes a law. We're just working within the best of what we know and what we're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. Isn't most science just theories?
Yes.
Well, that's what it is because when you don't know, when you don't have absolute proof of things, like you have to devolve into a theory. This is the problem with things like the theory of evolution. Not to say that the theory of evolution is 100% like incorrect. Obviously, people would scoff, laugh, and spit upon the Dr. Man show if we question such things. However, it is still yet a theory. By definition, it is not a proven fact. Now, that may be the most likely scenario you can come up with at the time, but that's based on the limited knowledge that you have available at any given moment. That's science, right? So why are other theories detracted like so badly and ridiculed and made fun of? It's a problem, in my opinion. It's a legitimate problem with science that you have to accept the potential you could be wrong. You have to. You absolutely have to. And a lot of people were saying, well, the reason that people don't want to accept this might be a plesiosaur is because it'll mess with the theory of evolution, but it really won't. And let me tell you why. Even if this was not a basking shark, as some people say, and it was actually an ancient plesiosaur that we thought went extinct 66 million years ago, all that shows is that this creature somehow survived. It doesn't do anything to change the theory. Why is there so much hatred for alternate ideas, right? Like, even if the most likely scenario potentially is that this is a basking shark, a decomposed basking shark at that, there are some scientists that still argue that potentially that's not the case. For instance, if you look at what the picture on the screen, some say that the decomposition patterns and the muscle segmentation doesn't align with known basking shark decomposition patterns, right? Meaning that perhaps the dorsal fin on the back that should be there but isn't present in this sample is missing because it was eaten or it decomposed off. But that's not what you find in pretty much every other decomposed corpse of a basking shark. Also, the decomposed tissue samples may not have been as conclusive, as Kiwi already stated, as once believed, and skepticism remains. Potentially, some believe that the creature may be an evolutionary hybrid, perhaps of a basking shark and another ancient creature, or perhaps that this creature that we're looking at is an entirely different species altogether. Which leads me to my point. Do you know what are in the depths of the ocean?
Well,
Do any of us? Do we actually know? Is this a plesiosaur? Is this simply a gigantic, record breaking mutant basking shark? It begs the question, what are in our oceans?
we don't know.
And we don't know.
We know 5%.
And it's so hard.
Doc. 5%.
It's so
We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the ocean floor.
Yet we can instantly see a decomposing corpse and immediately guess what the most likely scenario is. Well, the most likely scenario is not scientific. It's not scientific. Okay? It's not. The most likely scenario is what you can guess, but you don't state that as fact. You don't do that. You don't do that because you don't know what it is we're looking at. Potentially, this could be the decomposed corpse of a basking shark. It's absolutely possible. Or perhaps it's something else.
It has wings.
Together. This thing is a freak, dude.
Brother,
Are
how,
you looking at
what?
this?
How a shark doesn't have wings, brother? Look, that is
it
clearly
has no
wings.
It has no dorsal fin, or some critics say the segmented tissue that would connect a dorsal fin is also missing. Right? Okay, so now we're like, okay, this is a mutated basking shark.
Well, it has amino
Like,
acids.
yeah, amino acids from a decomposed corpse that, may or may not have been a reliable sample. It's what it is, man.
Bro, this
it's
is a villain
difficult.
Straight out of Doctor
Cookie
Who.
Pie is right. Yeah, Cookie Pie is right. It's very interesting, and you have to ask yourself what exactly it is that you're looking at. Science doesn't prove things. There's more to do. It can only not disprove things 110%. It's exactly what it is, right? And to say, well, this is, if you look on Reddit and all the mouth breathers, they just like, I'm sorry, I don't like that shit when people are just like, well, this is this. Like, I'm probably going to release a short on this when this particular podcast does come up on our YouTube channel, and I'm gonna roast them because a lot of the people think they know things, but they don't have any proof. They have no actual proof. It's only what people believe in the most likely scenarios. But doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean that what we're looking at is not something different. You can get mad if you want to, but I honestly don't really care. Like, you don't know.
I have something for you, Doc.
Get comfortable with that. Tell me.
So
what's
a
up?
back of a shark is normally like you have the back fin and all that, and it's pretty smooth, right? And there's not really like spikes on the back, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
would you mind telling me what this is? This is the back shot of the alien dinosaur hybrid. I'll wait,
I'm
science.
just telling you.
I'll wait.
I'm just telling you. Yeah. I don't know what I'm looking at, dude. Unlike a lot of people, I'm comfortable with telling you I don't know what that is, bro. I don't know. It could be a basking shark. It could be a mutated basking shark. It could be a plesiosaur. I don't know. I don't know, and neither does anyone else. No one
Straight out of Jeepers Creepers.
legitimately knows. It's a mutant creature as far as I'm concerned. And these are real photos, man. These are 100% real. The samples were taken, the photographs were taken, and then it was yeeted back into the ocean. Unfortunately, because I feel like if we had brought it in, there's a chance that we might be able to identify actually what it really is.
See, here's the thing that upsets me most about this, right? Do you know what they were
Yeah.
fishing for?
I actually have no idea,
Basking
Kiwi.
sharks.
Mackerel. They threw this over the side to keep their mackerel.
Now, Kiwi, as a professional fisherwoman, how deep do the nets go for mackerel?
You know, I don't know. I don't actually net fish.
Oh, so generally,
fishes for
how
fish.
deep does the nets normally go? Do you know?
I can tell you in...
Because I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
think they
sure-
scrape against the ocean floor. That's not where mackerel chill, right?
Dude, the Zio Maru was freaking dragging the ocean floor potentially.
Okay,
if this
mackerel can go up to 660 feet deep.
660
Although,
feet. Okay.
they can be found as deep as 3,300 feet.
It's pretty deep.
That's very
I
deep.
don't know. See, that's another question. Like, I don't know how deep the 1970s Japanese fishermen. Mackerel is so good though, and so
Dude,
delicious.
I canned
Well,
mackerel
yeah,
all the time.
Mackerel is
Okay.
good, but at the same time, if you had potentially groundbreaking, I have just discovered a dinosaur that we thought was extinct 66 million years ago.
they actually, according to a lot of statements, did throw it away. And this is a really Japanese thing. I think Suji will back me up. Not sushi. They didn't want to spoil. They didn't want to spoil their mackerel harvest with a rotting corpse of something that may be nothing, and so they yeeted it back into the ocean because it may have spoiled their catch, which makes sense if you're a fisherman and you're not looking for ancient creatures, you're looking for a paycheck, and that's a shame because this may have been something. Maybe it's just a rotting basking shark. Weird. I think the thing was nearly. I think it was intentionally like initially. I think it was measured like 4,000 pounds. Like he was massive. This thing is huge beyond belief.
What's its
So-
wingspan?
Dude, you could look it up. Like
I'm looking at it right now. its wingspan's huge.
massive. Yeah. We're talking like this thing was not small. This was a gigantic animal. Even for a basking shark. Like insanely massive. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. I have no idea. The ocean has many secrets to band. Many, many secrets, in fact. Which leads us to our final New Zealander story, Kiwi.
Oh, fuck. I'm good.
You good?
Yep. I'm just a little wet right now.
The the MV Joida, or Merchant Vessel Joida, aka the Mary Celeste of the Pacific. Has anyone ever heard of the tale of the MV Joida? By any stretch of the imagination. Have you, right? So first of all, who knows about the Mary Celeste, right?
Is that the haunted ghost ship that the dudes fell upon, and then there was like no one there? Like all the bodies were gone, and they found that letter stating like cryptic messages.
Basically, yeah.
They made a video game on this.
They did actually. So the Mary Celeste is obviously erroneously referred to as the Marie Celeste, but it was a Canadian-built, American-registered merchant brigantine that was discovered adrift, deserted in the Atlantic Ocean on December 4th, 1872. The crew was missing. The cargo of alcohol in the Mary Celeste was intact. The captain and the crew's personal belongings were undisturbed. But none of the people who were on board of the Mary Celeste were ever heard from again. They just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them. They didn't take anything. They were just gone. And that's sort of where we are with this one, with some differences. There is some differences with this particular incident, but there's a lot of strangeness. So let's get into it, shall we? The MV Joyita, aka the Mary Celeste of the Pacific, set sail on October the 3rd, 1955. The Joyita left Apia Harbor in Samoa for the Tokelau Islands, Kiwi, is that correct?
Yeah.
Tokelau Islands with 25, they had 25 people on board, including a crew of 16, and then there were 9 passengers, total of 25. A doctor, a government official, and 2 children were among the passengers. The ship carried an absolute mundane cargo of sacks of flour, sugar, and rice. Basically normal supply, as well as construction material and oil drums. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Just a normal cargo crew for this small vessel. However, the ship was discovered after it set sail on October 3rd. 5 weeks later, still afloat, but listing heavily to one side, as you see here in this photograph. Upon investigation, the ship's entire crew were missing, along with the cargo. Lifeboats, vests, captain's logbook, and navigational equipment, and their guns. A medical doctor's bag was also found with some surgical implements, a stethoscope, and also, strangely enough, some bloody bandages. Mattresses had also been laid against the starboard engine, and a makeshift awning covered the top of the fuel deck. Fuel levels indicated that the Joyita traveled about 391 kilometers before its systems went down from some unknown reason. The power had been totally cut to all systems, except the radio, which had been set to the International Maritime Distress Channel. However, it appeared the radio wiring had also been cut, slightly damaged, or intentionally sabotaged, as the range was diminished to about 3.2 kilometers. Strangest of all, the clocks on board the ship were all frozen at 10:25 a.m.
That's weird. Everything else was like, this is probably pirates. But the clock's freezing. That's... Okay.
So again, that's all it's known. I believe only 9 of the 25 have actually been declared dead, even as of this recording.
Were they all
Don't ask
passengers?
me why that's...
Or...
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've discovered through research, and I'm sure every state, nation in the world has a different standard for when they will declare you dead, right? Sometimes it's so
was the
a lot
cargo
of these
missing?
I don't know. Yes.
And lifeboats were missing.
It was gone. Yes.
When there was no bodies found.
No bodies were ever found. Not one, not any. Everything was gone. And here's the thing. So you would think, well, obviously they abandoned ship, but here's the problem. The Joyita had a corked line hull, which in essence almost completely and totally made it unsinkable. The crew would have known that, especially the captain and the people running the ship, probably not the passengers. The ship, even though it appeared to have taken on water, it would not have sunk. And that's what some people are saying. That's why they kind of set up the awning over the engine, and there appeared to be mattresses. The question really is, why did they leave if that was the case? Now, you could say, well, they got attacked by pirates. That's what the bloody bandages were for. But why was the ship fortified then in that situation, right? You're pirates. You go on, you kill everybody, you throw their dead bodies in the ocean, you take the loot, and you leave.
You don't
You
take
don't
the lifeboats
set up.
and life vests and all that.
No. All of the windows had also been smashed as well and destroyed. You don't fortify yourself on your ship, on the ship if you're pirates. No, you just take everything and you leave. You kill everybody and you leave. Like, donezo. But that's not what happened.
Damaged it? What kind of damage are we talking about? Why was it leaning so heavy?
Nobody has any clue.
There's no damage on the outside at all?
There was no damage according to most people. I believe the idea was that they had begun taking on water through some unknown damage to the ship on the outside, and potentially from internally. The ship was not a new ship. So I believe there were corroded pipes and things of that nature. When they found it 5 weeks later, barnacles had already attached themselves to the ship as if it had been adrift much further and longer than was initially stated. But
what?
The ship was basically nigh unsinkable because of the cork lining on the hull. And the crew should have known that. So the question really becomes, why did they abandon the ship? Mutiny? Like we already potentially discounted piracy, right? Or maybe pirates did find them later on when the ship became incapacitated. Potentially some oceanic event disabled the ship, perhaps a water spout, things of that nature. Although to my knowledge, maybe Kiwi can correct me, those types of rough oceanic events are not really that prevalent in that area of New Zealand, as far as you know, Kiwi. Do you?
Yeah, and they've also said that it was actually the weather was fine. There was no weather, nothing that could kind of account for that.
Right. Some people speculate mutiny. Perhaps there was evidently the captain was a dickhead. I don't. It's just
go to HR.
Things that. Yeah, they didn't. They didn't. I mean, the thing is, you'd have to go a long ways to mutiny. Like, you know what I mean? The guy would have been like, "I'm gonna sink this ship," before you like mutiny. And even then, the ship's not sinking. You wait for help, right? They wouldn't have known at that time the range of their radio, which again was intentionally or potentially sabotaged, was set for or was diminished to 3.2 kilometers. They would have assumed likely that their distress signal was potentially or maybe being received. So the question really becomes, why would you abandon ship, take all the supplies, get into the lifeboats, and leave the ship, which isn't sinking? Really? Like, yeah, it's listing, it's taking on water, but it's not sinking.
No, the ship would still be safer than lifeboats in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
Much safer.
And what, do they steal the batteries out of the clocks? Like, what?
Yeah. Did they smash all the clocks? Like, that's the thing. Like, why were they all set for... Like, I have nothing
Is there
on
any-
this one. No,
Wait,
there's nothing. So when the
What the f-
so when I believe it was the New Zealand Coast Guard or whatever the case may have been found the ship, that's how they found it. Like you're looking at it, listing slightly to the side, everything missing. The only clue of what had happened, medical sutures and bandages that were bloodied, potentially. And that's it. Everyone's just gone. And all the clocks smashed and locked in
Is there anything that would cause
at the
like
same
like
time.
electromagnetic storm or something like that that would disrupt the electronics within
Well,
the ship? Like,
so see,
like you can
that
explain bits and pieces, right? But you can't
yes.
you can't slot pirates in for the whole story or mutiny for the whole story. Like you can't.
No. You cannot do it. It doesn't honestly make any sense. They're just gone. 25 people on board just gone. Just missing. And evidence of something traumatic happened to this ship. But I mean, you can let your imagination run wild. I've seen people say anything from an attack or potentially mutiny or potentially sirens dragging the people like off board, all kinds of crazy and wild
I know we did
nonsensical
it.
things. But the
It's this
truth
thing.
is, you got something.
Yeah, yeah. Call back
It
from
was the
last
Plesio
episode.
store from the last the Plesio store from the last episode of the last like story we talked about. Dude, the truth is nobody knows, man. And to this very day, people have called for more much more um investigation to be done. But what can be done? They're gone. It was 1955. There was no lifeboat ever found. There was no debris. There was no bodies, just nothing. They abandoned ship for some unknown reason and they were never found again. And I mean, let me be honest. This is a freaking nightmare material scenario for me, right? Like you're in the middle of the ocean. The ocean. What would cause you to abandon your ship? Also, let's not forget the radio was still working. It wasn't in great shape, right? But it was still working. It was running. One of the only things that was running. The rest of the power had been cut from some damage, some impact. We have no clue. We have absolutely no clue. So, and they left. They left the safety of the ship after fortifying it with mattresses, making awnings to protect themselves from the sun. They just fled for some unknown reason. Perhaps they ended up in Bermuda Triangle style fog and they thought they used the lifeboats, could paddle out of the fog to escape. True. And ended up at different points in time. Dude, no one will ever know unless maybe one of them shows up in the future.
And then somehow the time stole all the cargo, the fog, because they needed to build a shack
I mean,
or something.
You would have imagined that they took the, and I guess the last logical explanation is potentially panic. Maybe they were just stupid. Maybe the whole team and group and sailors and everybody were idiots. I know that's laughable. People like Kiwi, because
I mean, people do weird things in
They do.
stressful situations.
They do. So they decided for no reason at all to take all of their. Perhaps there was a mutiny, and the captain was dead. Maybe the first mate was dead. There was an altercation, and all that was left were normies, and they were decided to try to take the lifeboats and the supplies and make for shore, but they ended up drifting out to sea. But
that
does
makes
that
no
mean-
sense when you've got a crew the size that they had, because everybody
Makes
on the
no
crew
sense.
knows that you don't do that.
It was 16 crew. It was 16 people in the crew, and there were only 9 passengers. So you're
This is back in
absolutely
ocean
right.
when it wasn't invented. This is back in the 50s. So like they didn't
Dude.
have proper training. They just had full on just scallywags. What if they threw the
Which
cargo
at that
overboard?
point it was even more so go down with the ship.
Oh.
I mean,
I wouldn't go down with the ship. To be honest with you.
ship's not. The ship isn't going down. It wasn't though. It drifted. It had to have drifted for an extremely long time before. I mean, they found it 5 weeks later, and it was still not sunk. Like it never sank. It wasn't sinking. It wasn't. It was basically impervious again because of the cork hull that it had. Now, yeah, it did take on water, and it was drifting, but it's like it wasn't sinking. So why abandon ship and leave? And I mean, potentially drift out to the middle of the ocean, which means that they're still out there somewhere, unless their rafts and the like have just been sunk under the ocean, right?
From the weight of all the supplies they've been trying to haul.
See,
Right?
now that's assuming they took the supplies with them.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
in that situation, if your ship was taking on water and you didn't realize it was made of cork, maybe your first thought would be just throw everything overboard.
Exactly.
And then if it starts tilting more, I guess the next thought would be, well, we got to get off. And just hope that the
Right.
radio call was actually received, not
Right.
realizing that your ship was never going to sink.
But why are the
never
clocks
gonna
stuck
sink.
at this certain time though?
See, again,
Yeah.
that doesn't explain everything.
It just doesn't
Exactly.
make any sense. Like nothing making, and you're right because well, if you so if you abandon your ship, well, you're abandoning the ability for anyone to find you. Then, if you do that, the radio is on board and working, even though, admittedly, they probably had no clue the range was diminished. Right? It was only like a couple of miles, 2 or 3 miles, right? 2 or 3 kilometers, so even less, right? That they were able to reach anyone. Even if they knew that, that's a better chance than you jumping in a life raft. You have no radio. No one's going to find you. Like, how are you going to be discovered? Which is why a lot of people are like, well, it was pirates. They took the stuff. They killed the crew and tossed them overboard. Okay, well, literally,
Why was it barricaded?
Why was it barricaded? Why was it fortified? Maybe they found them afterwards? Maybe. But it just doesn't make it. There were children on board. It just makes absolutely no sense. It's so strange. It's absolutely so strange. And why not scuttle it? Why not sink it? So there's no
Maybe they
evidence,
tried.
right? Like maybe they tried and they couldn't.
But
I mean,
that doesn't
windows
answer the
were all
question. How do they
completely messed up.
haul all that cargo from the ship? Because pirates don't use big boats to pirate.
I mean, I don't know.
That's a lot of cargo.
Again, I don't know. And again, why were there bloodied, sutures and bandages like on the ship? Like if you're murdering, you know what I mean? Why was the stuff from the doctor's bag as if someone had attended to wounds? What happened to cause such a catastrophic failure in all the systems to injure people to where you have to like sew people up and there's bloody bandage? Like, what the hell happened?
Pirates.
But then why did the clock stop?
UFO pirates. Space pirates.
Doesn't make guys? It don't. even though only a day or two had passed, in our world it had been months in the fog. Most of the supplies were gone. I mean, that I'd honestly like start to entertain that idea at this point in time, right? That maybe they were trapped longer than we realized in wherever they were in the middle of the ocean.
Episode on X-Files.
You did, dude. This is definitely an X-Files-esque thing, and it's been debated. It's hotly been debated by everyone, pretty much, about why this system or what happened, to these people and where they went. And again, if you're a pirate, you don't take the lifeboats. You don't take the
Not
All of
enough
that
room.
nonsense. You just take the loot. You don't have enough room. It
You
doesn't
don't
make any sense,
barricade
man.
the engine.
No, you don't try to survive. Like, clearly something, to me, catastrophic and terrible happened to this ship. And they were adrift trying to survive. And after that, I think that the science and the facts get fuzzy. I don't know after that. Why leave? Why abandoning the ship? Why barricade it and then run?
I know.
Why
I know
take
what
all the
happened. I know what
supplies?
happened. All right, so pirates came on the ship, right?
Okay.
They saw that they have a governor. They're like, payday, boys, right?
Hostage,
But then
yes.
a rival gang pirates came up, and so the
Hmm.
first pirates had to barricade themselves off, defending themselves off from the rival gang pirates.
Right.
It's like West Side Story all over again.
This is West Side Story slash One Piece. The pirates are fighting each other, and the crew is just distraught, begging for their lives. And then
And then
While the fight is happening, the crew decides, you know what, we got to get out of here. Leave them to it.
they try to escape and leave with what they have after
I mean, it's the
repairing the
only
wounded.
logical explanation, isn't it?
exactly the rival pirates sunk the first pirate ships. So the first pirates, their education is not the greatest. And
not
so
great.
they were like, guys, we just get on these life rafts. We got the goods. We get out of here, right? And they're like, well, we can't take all the cargo. What do we do with all the cargo? We killed all the crew who knew this ship wasn't going to sink. And so they took the batteries for the lithium. So all the clocks stopped at 10:25 a.m. And then once all the pirates separated, the remaining passengers were like, guys, we gotta throw some stuff off cargo off the ship. 'Cause
Yep.
we're gonna sink, right? And then the UFO came down and abducted all of them. That's why there's no bodies.
Think you figured it out.
Crack the
Think
code.
you figured it out. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been the Doc Demand Show, Campfire Stories. I want to thank Nomad Kiwi, aka our Kiwi, for joining us again. Really appreciate you giving us insight to these stories in New Zealand, and of course, the last podcast with the geological and astronomical insights. You're awesome. We're gonna have you on again, of course. So everybody, be prepared. Prepare yourselves for that. Kiwi, thank you again.
No, it's been fun.
It has been absolutely amazing. I am Doc X, the voice. Chef Demand is also here with me. Together, we are the Doc Demand Show. This has been Campfire Stories.